Hey, this is Erik, owner of Farpoint Farms, and today I'd like to talk to you about some hoop coops, inexpensive coops that you can create to house meat birds or layer chickens, and you can pull them around your yard, use it to fertilize your garden, and give them a place to stay and a safe place to harbor at night. Anyway, up here in the mountains, we have a lot of predators, a variety of which are pretty capable of getting into these things, so I'll show you how I designed mine to withstand them. Up in the mountains here, we've got bobcats, coyotes, wolves, mountain lions, bear, dogs. I mean, a variety of predators. All of them are interested in chickens. The ones down in the barn, they're surrounded by a nice 4-foot tall fence. Never had any problems with them. These guys are going to be kind of free range. This will be their brooding area. You know, sometimes they'll be in here all the time. Once they get old enough, open up the door during the daytime, let them go out and get some free grass, free feed, eat the bugs, help us out. So that's the plan. Again, I'm going to show you how I put this thing together. Pretty simple, pretty neat. I've got holes drilled up here, and that's so I can hook them to my trailer. Sorry, that's so I can hook them to my tractor and drag them around the yard. I built them light enough so you can just pick this thing up and wheel it around, but again, I'm in the mountains. I've got some pretty steep hills here. If I want to push them up the hill when they're loaded with birds, water, and feed, I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to do that quite efficiently. So I made a little tongue. I'm going to be able to hook it to my mower or my tractor, and I can move it around, and I think it'll work out great. Okay? Alright, we'll start off with this one. This one's actually almost a year old. It was twice the length, and we chopped it down and made it into two. So this was actually put together originally just for Cornish X meat birds, which worked out really well. We grew 50 of them in here. It was twice the length, and they ate, lived, and spent out their days for 2 months out here. Had a slightly larger tarp over it, and it worked great. No predators got to them up on the hill, and they seemed happy. And when the time came, they were confined in an area they were easy to get to, and pull them out one at a time and do what needed to be done. So this is the front off-field one, and then we modified it now so it'll be able to have nesting boxes, which meat birds do not need. So let me take a little walkthrough here. Cheapo tarp, got that at Big Lots, $2.97. It's 6x8. The measurements of the whole unit, not including the tongue, 7'5" by 7 feet. These tires here were $4 a piece from Agri Supply. I think Amazon sells them for a fairly competitive price, maybe $10 for a pair. And that's all you'll need to move this thing around. It doesn't have a whole lot of weight going to it. As you can see, my axle is nothing more than a bolt. Let's see, here we go. My axle is nothing more than a bolt that I drilled through the wood. A couple of washers and nuts, enough to spin it. It's not like I'm going to be going highway speeds with this. It's just for moving it 10 feet, 15 feet at a time as I move them around the yard to keep the grass down, keep them fed, keep the poop clean. Because of the predator situation I talked about, I had to overbuild this slightly. You know, if you're living in an area that doesn't have the same kind of animal control issues that we've got here, you could probably just get away with using chicken wire. And I had several hundred feet of chicken wire. Unfortunately, with the predators, they'll eat right through that. So if you can see in there, yeah, that is 2x4, 2" by 4" wire, a fencing wire. They can't chew through that. So I put that around the entire thing. The chicken wire actually only comes across the first 3 feet on each side, and that's just to keep raccoons from reaching a hand through and yanking off somebody's neck, which I have heard they will do. And I secured that to the wood with staples all the way around. Now, another thing that you don't see on many chicken tractors that I had to install on mine, and it's hard to see through the caging, but here, I'll tell you what, I'll open it up. Simple door made out of a 4x8 piece of plywood. Cut it down to fit. Just scrap wood, really. I need to throw a coat of paint on it if I want it to last longer. But inside, I had to put down chicken wire on the floor as well, because I'll have animals that will dig up underneath, and especially coyotes, they'll dig underneath this thing. And being that I'm on a really hilly area, it's hard to get this thing to sit flat. So they'll dig under, come up inside of it, and then the chickens are doomed because they have nowhere to run. So here's modifications I made to keep this from being a meat bird thing to layers. I added 3 4-foot long areas for them to rest. They can sit up there at night. They're little perches. And then 2 nesting boxes. It's actually 1 giant nesting box inside. I'm going to keep it clean as possible that way. Above here, again, this is something you may or may not need to do. I'm in the mountains, so I have to do it. This bar right here has hooks on each end, and that is where I hang my water and my feed. And I have to hang it. I can't just sit it on the ground because the ground is so uneven any place other than my driveway right here that the water will all spill out. It's one of those gravity-fed waters. The feed, not so much, but it also keeps the mice and other critters that sneak into this thing from getting a handful if it sits a few inches off the ground. And it makes it easier when it comes time to move the system because they just kind of rock back and forth. They don't tip over or spill. Kind of like that setup. Alright, let me walk you around back and show you how I get to the eggs and get to cleaning it out. Oh, I also put in, I drilled holes and have hooks, so when this thing was twice the length, it was quite heavy when it was loaded with chickens, so I would get one side, my wife would grab the other side. We could still haul it around by hand most of the time, but that's a nice little way just to pick up the edges if you and your kids want to do it or whatever. So this is an add-on. I had some leftover paint. I painted this one up. As you can see, the other one hadn't gotten paint yet. But this is the nesting box. It's just got a simple latch right there. Unhook that, and voila. Plenty of room for them to do their deed. And on cold or windy days, they can all pile in, which they sometimes do, and rest in there. Keep them pretty well draft free. Now when it's really cold, you can add sheeting around that right there on both sides and completely block the wind, and they can be pretty much enclosed all day and all night. The way we're going to do it come spring, when they've hatched out and they're ready to go outside, we'll leave it just like it is right there. And for the first couple weeks we'll leave them locked up. Once they're used to their new homes, we'll start opening the door when we get up in the morning and closing it as the sun goes down at night. And hopefully it'll work well. Being free range, they're going to have a much higher mortality rate. The layers will. So we're going to hatch out probably maybe 50 layers, and I expect half of those to make it to egg laying stage, at which point they'll get moved down to a safer location. The meat birds that are going to be in this one, they're going to probably live most of their existence and the meat birds that are going to be living in this one here, they're going to be just kind of hanging out in this their whole life. They only live for, like I said, 3 to 4 months. First month that's going to be indoors, because they're small chicks, they got to stay warm. Once they do get moved out here, they'll probably just hang out here till maturity. We may let them out once or twice, but really I want to make sure that any of those I grow, because I'm going to be giving them top-notch feed, that they make it to maturity so I can eat them instead of having the wildlife eat them. And the inside of this is exactly as the other one is. I set it up that way because for right now it's going to be for meat birds. Who knows, maybe I want to get ducks or geese or turkeys. I can use these for any of those purposes now. And of course I've still got the barn down at the bottom that has the rabbits and the other chickens in it. This is just kind of like an expansion to our little farm. It also has the same setup there with the hooks for hanging the feeders and the waterers. So that's it. And if you have any questions on how to build this or how exactly I manufactured it, I can go over that with you down in the comments section. Really, it's not hard to do. You're talking about a couple of 2x4s. I think I used 3 pieces, maybe 4 pieces of cheap plywood. I'm going to paint that to keep it protected. 2 very inexpensive tarps. The most money I spent was definitely in the the wire, the fencing. I didn't have enough left over to do them both, so I had to go out and buy some. And that was $50, I think, in that. But a lot of this is just scrap wood. Some of it's new. I've used a lot of my scrap wood for other projects, so there is definitely some new wood in this. Tires are very inexpensive, $4 a piece. I'm thinking for both these, $100. I'll have to look at my numbers, but I'm pretty sure we're right at or near $100. So I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, go ahead and try to contact me, and I'll get back to you as soon as I read the message. Other than that, I hope you have a good time. Take care.